Well, hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of We Watch Shudder. My name is JD, and who's here with me?
It's Michelle.
Hey, look at that, guys. It's still always Michelle. Michelle and JD, JD and Michelle. And we watch Shudder. That's kind of what we do. How you doing today, Michelle?
I am fine on the great scale of everything. I'm a good middle ground. How are you?
I'm down a toe, Michelle.
Yeah.
I'm now JD Nine Toes. That's my name for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm. That's what we've been calling you around the speakeasy. So
right. That makes sense. JD Nine Toes over here. It's a long story, guys. It's okay. I'm fine. Losing the toe was the correct option. And that's, sometimes accidents happen and life gets weird. And now I only have 4 toes on my right foot, which is an appropriate thing. An appropriate thing for a fella who's got a horror movie podcast, I think. Side note, by the way, I got some pretty gnarly post-op photographs. If anybody wants them, shoot me a message. Mail at WeWatchShudder.com. Anyway.
Start a Patreon. Those are only available to the Patreon subscribers.
There's money to be made on my gnarly post-op toe amputation photos.
Yep, that's some
people are going to be like,
quality.
JD, you're so full of shit. No, literally, guys, I had a toe amputated 3 days ago. And I'm here recording a fucking podcast because I'm committed, god damn it.
Wow. You're so brave.
I know, right? I'm so brave to have come home on complete doctor's orders and agreeable release and all that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Anyway,
guys,
I
was kind of looking forward to recording in the hospital, but I'm okay.
Yeah,
we
were literally this. Like, I was not going to miss this episode, guys. I wasn't going to put things off just because I had to have a toe cut off. Don't be ridiculous. We've got business to do here at We Watch Shudder. Namely, we've got Shudder to watch. What did we watch today, Michelle?
We watched a movie with a kind of fitting title now, Nocebo.
Right. I probably should let you know if this is the first time you've listened to an episode of this show. Normally we do this in a correct professional order that makes sense. That's what we do. We watch new exclusive and original releases from Shudder. Sometimes if they don't have a new release that week, we're going to go back and catch an archive title. But these are all movies that you can find on the streaming service Shudder, which is fantastic. It's like $6 a month. They don't pay us anything to say that. We pay our $6 a month just like anybody else. But you should pay your $6 a month and watch Shudder too. Now let's talk about Nocebo, Michelle.
Yeah.
This is the latest release from Shudder. Came out, I believe, available for if you want to pay money video on demand just a few days ago, and is now available exclusively to Shudder Shudder subscribers. Apparently, I had half of my tongue amputated as well. Michelle.
Yeah.
Are we going to read the description script from the Shudder website of Nocebo today?
We are indeed going to read the description script. This is not too revealing.
You know what? Before we do that, let me ask you, Michelle, what did you know about Nocebo going into this movie?
I knew Ava Green was in it, and I knew what Nocebo was, and that's about it.
That's pretty much exactly what I knew as well. I knew that Ava Green was in it. And I knew that its title was Nocebo, and I had a decent understanding of what that title means. What I discovered is that I understood the concept. I just didn't realize that was a name that had been applied to it at any point. But I knew absolutely nothing, and I feel like, well, I don't know. Let's talk about it. Let's read that description.
Mm-hmm. Were you about to say that they should know nothing if they're going to check it out?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
I was going to say, so they should know that before I read the description. So
maybe we should not read the description, Michelle. Let's not read it. Let's not do that to these people. Let's go ahead. Man, you can tell I had a toe amputated because this is already weird. It's super weird.
This is such
like
classic post-toe removal. Right. I know so many people who have had a toe removed and then recorded a podcast.
You get the fourth toe on your
this.
right foot amputated, and you come back and you just forget maybe a little bit how to run a podcast.
Yep, that's one of the side effects that they
Nocebo! Nocebo! That's the movie we're talking about, guys. Michelle, hit us with your spoiler-free thoughts on Nocebo.
Yeah. First off, I just have to point out that I'm really excited for the sequel of this film, starring yourself in Nocebo. I think that's going to be really great.
Say goodnight, Michelle.
Good night, Michelle. I stopped recording. Okay, bye. Now we can go back to hating each other and nobody will know about our ruse.
Oh, God.
I'm keeping so many puns hidden deep in my heart. Okay.
Oh, you're the best.
2023 started off kind of rocky on horror movies, and I just got to say, last month, the past month, what I'm trying to say is within the last 30 days, I have seen some very good movies and a lot of pleasant surprises, including Nocebo. I knew nothing about it. It's a weird little thing. The story is pretty obvious. I think it's at least supposed to be somewhat obvious, but I knew from basically very early exactly how it was going to end, but not exactly how it was going to end, because I would not have assumed some of those things happen. But I was totally hooked on this. Without going into literally anything about it, I'm going to give it a 4.5.
4.5 skulls for Michelle on Nocebo. Michelle, I'm always curious in moments like this. Do you have a guess as to how I felt about Nocebo?
I think you like it because you were hinting at them watching it without seeing and knowing anything about it. And usually if it's a movie you think is garbage, you're not going to have any sort of recommendation that people see it. So because of that, I think you like it. But watching this, I didn't know if this would be your cup of tea. Was it your cup of tea? Was it a good, delicious Earl Grey hot?
What are you talking about, Michelle? Of course this movie was right up my alley. This is my first awesome horror movie of 2023. 5 skulls.
Oh, shit.
Loved this movie. This was fantastic. This was so fun. I enjoyed everything about this. This is right up my alley in so many different ways. I love that I knew absolutely nothing about it. I like that I feel like the title maybe kind of makes you expect it's going to be one kind of movie, and then maybe it's not that kind of movie. I thought I agree with you that some of the storytelling is a little predictable, but it's perfectly structured. And sometimes a story plays out the way it does because that's the point, right? I love everything about this movie. I had a ton of fun. I thought Ava Green was incredible. I thought I almost lost my marbles there for a minute. Ty Fonasier,
another one.
I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that name terribly. I'm sure I am, but Ty Fonasier, or the lady who plays Diana in the film, fabulous. I can't say enough good things about this movie. I'm very much looking forward to digging into it and talking about it in detail. But you guys, I strongly recommend you go check this movie out before you know anything about it. You should be as surprised as possible with everything about this movie. I loved it.
Awesome. The only reason I didn't give it a 5 is because it just wasn't on par with like Mad God or other things I've given 5s to. So if everything is relative, I couldn't, but I don't have any complaints about it. So yeah, definitely go check it out.
We're all, or at least everybody who's been with us a while is well familiar with the fact that my ratings don't really have any structure or rhyme or reason to them in relation to each other at all.
I get really analytical with it.
Mine is more about just my experience with the movie, and I had a fucking blast with this movie. This was a lot of fun.
I think this is 5 skull adjacent, like how we say things are horror and horror adjacent. 5 skull adjacent, where in spirit, if I had not seen other movies that were better than this, it would be a 5 skull.
I gotcha. Yeah. This is a real good time. Anyway, guys, if you want to see Nocebo before we dig into the spoilers, you're going to want to hit that pause button right about meow. So, Michelle.
JD.
I got to tell you, I adore this movie. This was so cool. Look, we all know. Let's just get into the spoilers. We all know I love a witch movie, right? And especially not like I'm not big into like Hot Topic, The Craft, super like gothy kind of witches. I like me some folk horror witches, and this that name Nocebo. It's like it gave me like this was gonna be almost like a sci-fi horror thriller, like maybe something about medicine or maybe like similar to like movies like Contagion or Unsane. Have you seen those two movies by Steven Soderbergh?
Yep.
Yeah, I thought it was
he
going to
did
be
both of them?
Yeah, he did. I'm pretty sure he did both of those. Yeah.
Did not know that.
And also, by the way, did a movie from last year called Kimmy that if you haven't seen, you absolutely have to see. It's fantastic.
Oh, you loved Kimmy.
Oh, I love that movie. It's so good. I watched it 4 times in a week. Anyway, we're talking about Nocebo. I might watch this movie 4 times this week. I really, really loved this movie, but I came into it just because of that name, expecting something completely different, and what I got is this rad modern folk horror sort of vibe, but also with like that really great sort of horror tradition of like this movie has some shit to say, right? Weirdly enough, I mean it's a completely different movie, but this movie made me think a lot of Slacks.
Me too. I'm comparing it to some of the other movies that we've seen. Also, the film style of this is a lot like what's the Rebecca Hall movie that we both gave 5 to?
Resurrection.
Resurrection. Thank you.
Yes.
The way that this is filmed gives me Resurrection vibes.
Yeah, I'm actually
just
on
that
the,
kind of style.
I'm on the IMDb right now while we're talking here because I got to find out, because I agree. I don't know who shot this movie, but the cinematography is next level stuff. This is really beautiful. Jakub Kijowski and Radek Ludchuk. I apologize. I know I'm butchering those movies, but the photography on this was phenomenal. It's a beautiful production. It definitely has some darker scenes and darker elements because it is a horror film. But I also again love how so much of this film also takes place, in the broad daylight or in well lit, very colorful environments. On top of that, so we should probably do the thing where we sum up kind of what goes on in the movie before we go too far here. I just kind of got a little carried away with my love for it. Do you want to do that for the good folks?
Sure. There's a fashion designer played by the beautiful Can Do No Wrong angel, Ava Green, who I definitely did not let influence my decision. I do love Ava Green. I was very excited to see Ava Green was in something, but I just know that she is a phenomenal actress. I am glad to see that she brought it to this film. So if you're familiar with her other work, I always try to go in and be like, okay, ignore the fact that you already know this person, but man, she brought it for all the reasons that I already love her. So Ava Green is a fashion designer named Christine. Something happens at the beginning of the film where it's never revealed, or it's not revealed at that moment, and not for a long time what happened, but she gets a phone call at work. She's also a children's clothing fashion designer and works on runways and makes music videos or promotional videos, and all of that makes sense that there would be a children's fashion designer with runways, but seeing it actually happen just made me so unnerved. I felt like I was watching child pageants just because it was so foreign to me, but it makes sense that there would be runways. I think just seeing children pose at the end of the runway
like
is
that,
uncanny.
that scene, not to interrupt just briefly, but that scene towards the end where they're getting ready to film the kids doing the TV commercial, whatever, and they're all just kind of standing
demonic.
there in weird frozen poses. Oh God, yeah. And then when shit goes haywire, the kids all just naturally freeze back into positions again. Like they're not just standing there dumbfounded; they're frozen in the They're like, this is very well thought out. I love.
That's a very
moments.
good choice. Yeah, it's kind of those things in this movie where watching it, you're like, "What the fuck am I seeing?" But I love it. So. Anyway, Christine / Ava Green, she has something traumatic happen at the beginning. She gets a phone call, and really all that we discern from that phone call is that she is distraught and repeats what somebody on the phone told her, which is pulling out bodies.
Yes,
that line stuck with me. Pulling out bodies. And that is basically all the information you get. And then it is down the road a little bit. Not sure exactly how, but a little bit. Christine had to take a leave of absence. She's recovering. She has this very panicky nervous disorder now, but she's trying to get back to her life and get back to work. She gets a knock at the door, and it's Diana. Diana is a Filipino woman who is there to help her with cleaning and housework and taking care of the child Bob's. Bob's, which
Roberta.
is the children. I've never heard of that. Oh, is it Roberta?
Yeah, her name was
Okay.
Yeah, don't you remember that she said she told Diana, because like you can call me Roberta because we're not friends yet.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about that. I just remember Bob's and being like Bob's. But yeah, so Diana's there, and immediately Christine's life gets better. And then it turns out that Diana practices a very special, we'll call it medicine, that makes Christine feel even better and helps her get over her panic attacks. And then Diana reveals that she, for all intents and purposes, we'll go with, has witch-like powers.
She's an umu.
And she's a what?
An umu.
Umu, thank you. I could not remember the word. And so for people who might not know what an umu is, including myself, it's essentially, witch powers that can transfer person to person if you're present when the previous umu dies. Right? Is that kind of
Yeah,
description?
It's sort of a Filipino folk tradition. And yeah, they the soul of the umu can transfer from one body to another and basically continue living on through that person. And it's but no, I just I love that whole vibe. Those sequences, now that we're talking about them, those sequences with the bird. Oh man. Okay, I'm sorry. I keep interrupting,
No, that's okay.
and you should finish the summary.
Yep. Nope. I forgot what the word was, so I'm glad you said it was umu, because I'm gonna go look up more. I had no idea what that was, and it's a fascinating thing. But anyway, basically, you're getting these flashbacks of Diana's life back in the Philippines. You're watching her try to heal Christine. It's pretty obvious that Diana has ulterior motives. What exactly is going on? What is she going to do to Christine? Will she be able to do it? What is she getting revenge for? You can definitely tell there's a lot going on. And then it turns out that Diana had worked in a sweatshop factory making Christine's clothes. And Christine went to visit the factory and basically made a command that no one should be allowed to leave without having their bags checked, and that the door should be locked.
Yep.
Diana went to get water because it was very hot in this literal sweatshop. And while she was gone, there was a fire and everybody burned alive, including her daughter. So now she is going to kill herself, and as an umu, she is going to transfer to Bob's, and that is exactly what she does.
Yes.
And she lets Christine basically relive what her daughter did dying in this factory so that she can burn alive.
Yeah.
And it's awesome.
Yeah, and not just burn alive, but at least this is how I took it, spontaneous human combustion. Right?
Yes.
Like the ultimate nocebo effect. Right? Like I loved this. This is just an incredible folklore, or like folk horror revenge story. I love how it starts out as very much not really a horror film, right? It starts out as very much like a psychological thriller. You have the element of that first of all, that disgusting, mangy, tick-ridden dog, so well
I don't
executed.
do ticks.
I thought,
I
God,
hated
it was
that.
hideous, so gross. Okay, I completely lost my track of thought. That's embarrassing. Like this revenge story of this woman coming back and working her way into this person's life. I like the way the movie turns around on itself. And we put that link together that the way they reveal what had happened, and the beginning of the link there and where that vision of the dog came from. I loved the effects in this movie, Michelle. That giant tick monster, that was fucking sick.
The sleep apnea scene was one of my favorites because that sleep paralysis with this mask on your face, like forcing you to breathe throughout it. Oh, that was there's so much stuff in this that I haven't seen before. And I've always said, if you're going to show me something new, I'm basically going to be okay with it. And I will probably like it just because I've seen so many things. And there's a lot of stuff like the tick dog and the sleep apnea, sleep paralysis, and pulling out bodies is just so haunting.
You're just like, you're spending the whole movie trying to discern, like, what is this context of pulling out bodies. And I don't disagree with you. I had a very good feeling. Look, I'm not gonna lie, and there may be something ironically problematic in this, but I'm just gonna lay it out. I kind of immediately started to assume that this was going to have something to do with sweatshops. I wouldn't say the moment that she's dealing with children's fashion, but the moment Diana shows up and is Filipino, right? Like, I very immediately started thinking there's a very specific scene where she's like looking through a closet and she sees the Taiki clothing label on that piece of clothing, and you're just immediately like, okay, they weren't trying to hide from you what the context of this was going to be. We all knew where this was going, but the way it got there is so fucking incredible. This plays so well on that idea of like, you know, a lot of people will say, it's like, these things are not really happening, they're all in your head. And it's like, well, yeah, but that doesn't mean they're not still affecting me in every conceivable realistic way. You know, I thought this was a beautiful portrayal of somebody going crazy. It's an examination of that idea of, you know, how did people believe witchcraft was real? And it's that idea that with enough negative thought pattern, you can influence negative effect, right? And I just, I loved every element of this. It combined so many different things to tell a really interesting and effective story. When it does it transitions from more of a psychological thriller kind of thing into, we are in full-blown horror territory by the end of this. That sequence when the kids are dancing around and she's in the TV studio and everybody just starts turning into like pustule, tick-ridden zombie monsters. Jesus Christ. This is like, I was not expecting that because it started so mellow, right? This movie took me by surprise on in a number of ways, while still being somewhat straightforward as a piece of storytelling. And I just I loved every minute of this.
I wish I had looked up Chai's last name, the woman who plays Diana, because she also, like, obviously I already loved Ava Green, but oh my God, this movie would not have worked if Diana was not
amazing.
So captivating, and like the perfect blend of, I don't want to say evil because I don't really think what she's doing is evil, but like the way that she's manipulative but still so likable, and you're on her side even though you don't even know what she's doing yet. You're like, whatever you're doing, go for it, girlfriend. It's probably deserved. Like, I never thought she was like a villain, as opposed to other movies of this similar type of somebody kind of getting revenge, like a slasher film, you know, kind of getting revenge, and you feel bad for the victims.
This is very much like cautionary tale type horror, right? This is, well, sometimes you fuck around and find out, is what this movie it definitely falls into. And like, you know, I don't think anybody with real human empathy would say that anybody should take revenge so far as to murder someone violently as well. But like, this is a mentality we can all understand, right? Like, even if you don't actually have children yourself, I think a lot of people, hopefully at least, can imagine how incredibly traumatizing that could be and how it could drive somebody to do this sort of thing, right? and man, does she do it. Holy shit, you were so right. She is so great because like, there are moments where you're like, wait, like, I honestly wasn't sure what she was really after until a lot further into the movie than I think a lot of people would normally feel, because they do such a good job of making you believe at times that she is trying to help her. Like, she has that exchange with Felix, the husband, where he's like, this is all going on in her head, and she's like, then I will find it and drive it out of her head. And it's like, yeah, like there's a respect for and a belief that regardless of the fact that there's not a diagnosis, something very real is happening to this person. And that's a powerful thing, right? That's where a lot of witchcraft powers came from, is just that ability of negative influence. Like you can be cursed if you believe in it. That's it. It's wild. And then of course it builds up to that beautiful, like I said, that ultimate nocebo of, she just spontaneously combusts sitting there at that sewing machine. I thought that was such a beautiful crescendo in a definitely like somewhat twisted revenge fantasy kind of way, but I loved that. I thought that was a beautiful outcome.
Yeah, that scene at the very end where Christine is basically reliving what happened in the sweatshop, it's gonna stick with me for a while. It was just such a good, it was just such an excellent cherry on the rest of this ice cream sundae that was
even
this
though
movie.
You knew it was coming, right?
I didn't care. I was like, how is this going to play out? The way that they do those flashbacks, and then the one where she's doing the flashback of her leaving her partner, or whatever he is, husband, where she's leaving him, and he's saying, "Will I ever see you again?" And then it turns out
no.
that's what happened before, or that's what happened right before she basically went to find Christine. Yeah. That didn't happen earlier, and she's like a single mom. Like, seeing that kind of played out of order, and then her going back to him after everything happened to give him that closure was just, it was so good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of choices that they made like that of doing something just slightly out of order that made it so much better.
Yeah, it's part of the trajectory of this narrative is we all figure out, okay, so something happened with Diana's daughter that relates to Christine's fashion line somehow. But it ultimately, like the trajectory of the plot is crossing back and forth between the past and the present and building towards the ultimate reveal of what actually happened. Like that's where the horror escalation of the movie comes in, is it's slowly building to this ultimate reveal of what happened here and what caused this whole saga. But then there's all this other just amazing, like it's very psychologically effective. This is a movie to me because this is a movie that doesn't want you to necessarily believe this stuff was actually happening anywhere other than in Christine's head, and that's the point. And I thought that was so effectively done here. I just, man, I want to turn around and go watch this movie immediately again. And then,
it's definitely on my list to show a couple people.
On top of that, to be such a beautifully shot film, this movie is shot well. It's edited well. It's beautifully visual. It's a whole lot more cinematic than a lot of horror movies you'll see. This is definitely a movie that some snobs are going to apply that elevated horror label to, but don't let that scare you off. This is a good goddamn movie, and you should definitely check it out.
Yeah,
Anything else to say about
Nocebo,
Michelle?
I can't figure out a great way to end our episodes when you sum up everything and then there's just silence, because I also know you have to give that silence, because sometimes I go, hey, we forgot to mention this one thing, but sometimes it's just silence and I just go, yep, and that's how this is. Like you did a great job of explaining it.
What was your favorite horror and or special effects moment in this movie?
Oh God, my favorite. Honestly, mine was not even a super elaborate thing. That line of pulling bodies or pulling out bodies and then them not telling us what happened, that had such a huge impact on me because obviously something happened and they don't show the daughter or the husband right away. So you're like, okay, was it one of them who died? And then you see the daughter and you're like, oh, so she's grieving her husband. And then you see her husband and then you're like, what is going on? What is actually inside of Christine? What are you so distraught about? It just, those three words hung over me this whole movie until I started figuring out, oh no, Diana has some sort of relation to pulling out bodies, and oh God, what was the tragedy that she has been through?
Yeah.
What was yours? The tick?
I mean, the tick was that giant tick was fucking gnarly, especially when it's chewing on Felix's face.
Oh God!
Oh my God!
I can't do ticks. I can't.
That was they're one
I've
of
had
the,
traumatic
it's disgusting.
experiences.
It was disgusting.
God.
Oh my God, that thing was so well done. And shout out to the entire cast here. We haven't even mentioned Mark Strong as Felix. He is amazing here. Billy Gadsden, who plays Roberta /Bob's little girl, is really talented. This is the first time I've ever heard of this director, Lorcan Finnegan. Apparently, he's got a couple of other features that he's done that I'm definitely going to go try and take a look at. But one called Vivarium that I know I've heard of and seen the name before.
I love Vivarium.
Oh, okay. Yeah, same guy. So I'm gonna have to gonna have to go check that one out as well. But yeah, guys.
Oh man, Vivarium is a mind fuck in a way that this movie did not quite get to. But goddamn, Vivarium is so good.
Cool. I'll have to go check that one out now for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. So Michelle gave it a 4.5. I gave it a 5. That's a 4.75 average. That's a pretty damn good score.
Now they know you did Vivarium. I kind of want to give him a 5. That's hey,
I mean, we're not done with the episode yet. You can do whatever. You're free to revise whatever
but
it is you want to revise.
in my heart, it's not to Mad God levels.
That's fair. That's fair.
Everything's gotta be on a scale of 1 to Mad God for me. Yeah,
this big home run, Shudder. Good job getting this one under your belt. This was a good get. What are we talking about next week, Michelle?
We don't know yet.
We don't know yet.
How don't know yet. The March schedule is not out.
I know, it's so weird. I guess we'll let you know as soon as we know, guys.
Yeah, if there's a new release, we will be talking about that for sure.
Oh, it is, Michelle.
It's out now?
They dropped it back on the 16th, apparently. Let's read this
What?
live on the air. Let's see what we've got coming up in February. Looking for the originals and exclusives. Where are you at? Michelle, say something interesting about how we're sponsoring Time Bomb Pro while I find the schedule.
We're sponsoring Time Bomb Pro. Also, when I was in high school, I went to visit my high school boyfriend, and he lived out in the woods, and he said we should go for a walk in the woods, and I did, and we got to this beautiful grassy clearing, and I walked through the clearing with him, and I was wearing jeans, and I got to the other side, and I had hundreds of ticks on me. Hundreds crawling up my legs, and I screamed and I ran back to his house as fast as I could, and I could not get them all off, and I was just screaming in the shower. So I don't fuck with ticks.
Oof, yeah, I don't fuck with ticks either. They're disgusting little horrifying
They put their
things.
whole head in your body. Their whole head just goes, it forces, ugh. Anyway, Spoonful of Sugar is what we're reviewing next week.
Spoonful of Sugar next week. March 2nd. They don't say on this whether it's an original or an exclusive. It just says new film premiere, but I guess that's what we're talking about is Spoonful of Sugar. Mm-hmm. Then on the 17th, so the week of the 9th, we'll have an archive title episode. But on the 17th, we're talking about a new film called Leave. And on the 31st, which is another couple of weeks out, we'll be talking about a new film called The Unheard. So we're going to get 3 brand new films and a couple of archive titles here. In fact, if you have an older Shudder original or exclusive that you'd like to hear Michelle and I talk about that we haven't talked about yet on the show, drop us a message on any of the social medias. We're on Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, at We Watch Shudder on all 4 of those places. You can send an email to mail@wewatchshudder.com. If you have something you'd like us to talk about, let us know. Otherwise, we're just going to keep going to the way back and grabbing them and talking about all the things. Did I do all the business, Michelle?
You did all the business. Also, check out our website. There's Squelch files on there. I'm very proud of them.
Michelle has something like 600...
475 are currently uploaded. I do have more to add, but I had to take a break for
clarity's
my
sake.
sanity.
That's important. Very well. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. I definitely go check out Nocebo. Check out anything on Shudder. Man, if you like horror and psychological and weird and just odd batshit movies, it's $6 a month, guys. If you get one good movie out of $6 a month, it's totally worth your time. I think you should check it out. Maybe one of these days they'll acknowledge us. I don't know. Any last words?
Check out Carousel. That's on
Oh
Tubi.
God!
I made
Oh
JD
God!
watch
So we
it,
talked about this towards the end of the last episode,
but it got
Michelle.
cut out.
Yeah, we unfortunately we had some technical difficulties, but Michelle saw this movie called Carousel, like a carousel but in hell, and she insisted that I go watch it, and it was only like an hour and 10 minutes, and so I said, all right. And guys, this movie it's one of those, it's dumb as balls, right? Like, it's so dumb, but you should definitely check it out. It's fun dumb. There's shit that I'm just like, okay, we're just going here now? Okay. And the movie
Duke is a unicorn on a carousel who breaks free and then goes to murder people at a house party.
Yeah, it's and it's a movie that delightfully embraces its absolutely nothing like student film budget, and it was a lot of fun.
I'm watching
Anyway,
the sequel
guys,
this week, and I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, we appreciate you. Have you seen? I'll talk to you off the air about it. Say goodnight, Michelle.
Good night, Michelle.